Good afternoon, Ashish. How are you?
I'm good to know. I'm good, and you are?
My name is Henrico, and I'm very happy to have you over here, of course, and I appreciate you taking the time to come over.
I'm happy to spend this time with you, and I'm hoping to get a solution to what I wish to achieve.
Perfect. That's good to hear. Just in advance, I would like to let you know the duration of this talk will be approximately 20 minutes. And I would like to ask you if you're okay if I take some notes in the meantime.
No, that's fine.
And also as your preference of, or as you've noticed for the recording, which you established beforehand, that everything is okay being recorded and
Sure.
submitted for the assignment.
Sure.
Perfect. So, firstly, I would like to ask how your day was.
Oh, it was fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah? Any particular events that happened during the day?
Yeah, traveling from Princeton, commute is about 1 hour to New York Penn, and I had to sort of decide taking the subway or taking the taxi. Decided
Yeah.
to take the taxi because it's the same time, but it's more comfortable, you know. So yeah, it's fine.
Oh.
All in a day's work in New York.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be like a hectic day,
Yeah,
like every day,
absolutely.
New York life. Then I would like to ask you, what is it that you would like to focus on today?
All right, so I had multiple practices in America. Very recently, I've taken on the responsibility of growing our insurance technology business. Essentially, we are an IT services and consulting firm. You could think of us as a miniature version of IBM and Oracle, although we're not that large. So we qualify as a boutique IT services firm,
Yeah.
right? Now, within the boutique space, our survival and our growth is dependent on us being a niche player. So insurance is part of it, though you'll find Oracle, IBM also focused on insurance. The difference between them and us is that we probably won't have access to resources that are sitting on the bench. Everyone that I have on the team has to be deployed on projects for the longest time. There cannot be a break.
Yeah.
All right. Having said that, we've grown the practice with one client for the last 1.5 years. My issue is that's risky.
Yeah. For a single client?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my goal is how do I acquire another insurance client in say a quarter, in 3 months? That's my goal.
In 3 months, in a quarter of a year. All right. So just to summarize it, just to make sure we're on the same page. You're wondering how to acquire more clients. You've in the past been doing business with one client, which can be quite risky, and within a niche of IT consulting and insurances, if I can phrase it like that. That's what you'd like to know. How can I get more clients?
Not really more clients. I wasn't broad basing it. I was saying very specifically I want to acquire just one client in a quarter. So
Okay.
in the next 3 months I want to
Yeah.
acquire one client.
All right. So the objective is really I want to have one more client at the end of the third quarter. Perfect. Clear. So what have you done in the past to acquire the client that you're currently working with?
Oh, great question. So as a boutique IT services firm, and especially which is owner driven. So the gentleman who's the president and CEO, he's the one who set up the company about 10 years back. So how we've grown is by word of mouth. It's not that we've reached out to people at seminars or events or trade fairs. Yeah?
Yeah.
We built up from one client that we service very well. We've taken references from them because of the work that we do, and those have sort of paid off. So it's not as if we've grown at a fast clip because we've really hunted aggressively to just go and get logos. So each and every client that we have is a reference from a previous engagement. All right.
Yeah.
It is not our successes with outbound marketing and trying to essentially do the traditional way of reaching out to prospects has not really worked in our favor. All right. So there it is. So it's been word of mouth, existing clients. They're the ones we reach out to and say, you know, you've been with us for so long. Can you give us references because we have a new practice?
Yeah.
That's That's how we've done it.
Okay, interesting. And that's how it went from the founding of the company?
Yep.
Yeah. And what is the amount that's being spent on outbound marketing currently?
Zero.
Zero. It's word of mouth, single-handedly.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So what has been the reason for like not, let's say, not going to these events where you could acquire companies?
I think it's more to do with um, so the entire ethos and culture of the company is governed by the founder, who's my president and
Yeah.
CEO, and he's old school. He still believes that cold call is the way to do it.
Yeah.
He still believes that nothing really happens in trade fairs or shows. He's sort of a partial believer in networking events. Partial believer, yeah.
Yeah.
He certainly does not. He's not really on board in terms of using social media or technologies such as martech like HubSpot, etc., to reach out. So, when you have such a strong cultural influence coming from the founder,
Yeah.
it becomes a sort of an issue.
Yeah.
So I've tried to work around it. Hasn't worked. I don't think it's going to work. All right.
Okay.
So it is what it is, and this is what I do. So if a question to me is, well, what do you do in a day to reach out to your prospects? This is what I do. I do cold calls, write cold emails, use LinkedIn. Thankfully, I have permission to do that. But the existing clients that we have, so it's a two-track thing. So my president also knows these folks, so do I. I reach out to them and then solicit references.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've been trying to do it. So it's been a mixed success between doing cold calls, between doing LinkedIn emails, all right, um, and soliciting references from existing clients. It's been a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Now, it gets you a measure of success in the sense a cold call reaches the desk of CIO, he's kind enough to pick it up and not bang the phone. So you have a very short window in which you're able to impress that person. Yeah.
Right.
However, even if you have a very nice, cordial conversation, inevitably goes down to, oh, by the way, I think you're late on the draw. We already have a partner in place. so, so when you look at all the attributes that go and make a perfect yes answer,
Yeah.
you probably are not going to tick all the boxes. So that's a problem. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
Again, goes back to for you to get one new logo in insurance.
Yeah.
It's not easy as it sounds. Though I may have those references coming from my clients, the clients are not going to be speaking on your behalf. They don't know your technology. They don't know your solution.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah. So just to summarize, what I've been hearing is that the founder of the company is relatively old school. Like he believes in the phone acquisition, cold calling, which has a low percentage of success. At the same time, when you reach a CIO or a CEO for that matter, you have that 30 seconds elevator pitch prepared, which you could use to your benefit at other occasions. So my question to you would be, considering the old school founder, what kind of methods have you used to potentially persuade him into a more state-of-the-art way of acquiring clients?
Great question. So I still continue to be connected to folks who are working in MarTech. I know lots of people from HubSpot, etc. I've gotten them into product demos.
Sorry, product network?
Product demonstrations. So
okay.
you demo a product. This is what it can do.
Okay.
So if there's a mental block to just thinking of technology being an enabler, I cannot change you as a person. Do you understand? It takes a psychologist to change you.
Yeah.
So it's prudent on my part to realize that's not going to happen. I'm not a psychologist. I can only take you and show you, and then give you the positives and negatives.
Yeah.
If you, being the boss of the company and the owner of the company, you start telling me all the negatives, including saying, oh, by the way, it costs so much, the battle is lost right there.
Yeah.
You understand? If you're coming from the premise that if you, for example, you know, another assignment is given to me, and I'm told that, oh, by the way, in this project we need to have a project manager. We don't have anyone on board. You'll have to hire someone, right?
Yeah.
If the answer that comes from your CEO is look for a free option, then you know where you're going.
Yeah.
You understand the problem?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not a problem. It is what it is.
Right.
So there's just no way moving around it. Despite all these challenges that I have, I still need to acquire that one new logo.
Yeah.
So how do I do it?
That's the question. But first, before we get to that, I would like to know some more background information about the company itself, just for my like having a sense of the scalability. How big is the organization? When was it founded?
We founded 10 years ago. We completed 10 years in May.
Yeah.
And so we have, of course, we're headquartered out of the US. We're based in Princeton, New Jersey. In America, on rolls, we only have 10 people. 10 people, including me and the president.
Yeah.
However, the American team is much larger because we don't have everyone on roll. So we have a lot of consultants who work for us, right? So 10 on roll, another 10 who are consultants. So we'll probably hire you or someone else as a consultant, and that's it. Back home in India, where we have a captive center, we have 130 resources, of whom almost 30 are full-time devoted to insurance technologies alone. That's it. They do nothing else.
And sorry, this was also in the US?
No, that's in India. It's in India, Bangalore.
Yeah. Okay. And how does this help you? For example, how can the venue or the office in India help you with resources in the US? How does that work?
It doesn't really work. So the way, so having an office in India is essentially addressing a need of a CIO who has the budget. If there is an element of, you're trying to save costs,
Yeah.
right? The easiest way that you do is you go to a low cost center. You have somebody who's as qualified as an American who's sitting in India, who's
Yeah.
working for 1/10 or 20% of your dollar salary, right? It's cost arbitration. That's been the model that's been followed here.
Okay.
So it's just a talking point. It doesn't really. So the thing is, insurance is so tightly controlled. It will be. Thank you. It's so tightly controlled. Many a time you're under audit. So clients can often in America say, we cannot trust an offshore team.
Yeah.
We like to have people here right in front of us.
On site.
On site.
Exactly.
So it may not even be a talking point in some circumstances. It is very, very subjective. It's not across the board. However, if the conversation goes beyond the 30 seconds and the CIO asks and says, oh, where do you have your team? Where's your head office? That could be a talking point. If there's further interest and say, okay, how many people do you have in insurance team? Then you can talk of specifics.
Yeah.
But the entire conversation is governed by your pitch. How well do you sound? At what point in the project is a CIO? Are they actually looking for a partner or not? So it becomes very, very complicated. It's not really easy.
It's not easy.
No,
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay, clear. It just gives me a better understanding of how the US and India work together on that matter, which, if I understood correctly, is actually quite limited.
As I mentioned, it's subjective. Many clients would be open to having, for example, the client that we have currently is open to having us, deploy an entire team in India, while we have the solution architect sitting in America.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Which is fine. Some of the clients say, no, we insist we have all the people here, which is fine too. So then we have to go and hire people. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
But whatever be the case, we are in a position to manage remote teams. We are in a position to give you a mixed team. Essentially, do whatever the client insists that we do for them.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah. In the end, like, client is king, so you have to.
Yeah. Absolutely. Go back to basics.
Yeah. And just to get back to the goal of the conversation, to acquire one more client, what other methods would you consider when the references don't work anymore, so the word of mouth has failed?
I think it sort of becomes a dead end, and that's the reason I'm sitting here asking for.
Yeah.
So I have a very strong reference from director IT of a company with whom my team has been working for almost 1.5 years now. And he gave me reference of VP IT of a very large American insurance firm.
Yeah.
Now the introduction has been given. I have replied very politely in a very generic term to the gentleman,
Yeah.
basically saying that, hey, why don't we, you, Bill and me, get together for a round of drinks and drinks on me. And that's been like 3 months, all right? Nothing has happened.
Okay.
The only spark which has sort of happened after that is that he's connected to me on LinkedIn. That's it.
Yeah.
I've tried again to reach out, again try to speak to my friend because he's marked in the conversation, so we know what's happening.
Yeah.
And I'm butting my head trying to say that I can't even get into his inner personal space, and all I'm asking for is a cup of coffee or drink on me, and that too is not being accepted. So you see the issue?
Yeah, I see what you mean. And
Yep.
how did you reach out to him?
So because the director IT of a company with whom I work, I've been working for 1.5 years, they were colleagues earlier. So
Yeah.
he moved from that company into the new company.
Yeah.
Then we got talking, so I'm pretty close to him. And I said, hey, I just saw on LinkedIn that you're connected to Zico.
Yeah.
Can you get me an introduction? He said, sure. So the very next day he wrote into Zico and said, I know him, he's a great guy, let's meet up, etc., etc. Wrote back to Zico, I said, let's meet up for drinks.
Yeah.
Nothing happened,
But
he just connected to me on LinkedIn, so that's
Yeah.
it.
Okay, so there was also no face-to-face interaction. It was all.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
That's what I'm
through-
looking for. Yes.
Yeah,
Even
through
if
friends.
that's not happened, how do you even start a conversation?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah, no, that's very hard, especially when you're dependent on the coworker to forward you to get a group meeting started.
Yep.
That's hard. And as you previously mentioned, and I just want to clarify, you think it is a dead end to go in towards another direction of word of mouth and the references from other clients?
no, I think that really works. And my take on that is there is definitely a trust deficit in the American market.
Yeah.
All right. Gone are the days when you could simply give a call. People would, take your calls.
Yeah.
They'll be up for it. Today they're watching their back. There can be many reasons. I can have my own assessment as to why that's happened, but there's definitely a trust deficit.
Yeah.
So the best way that you can actually jumpstart that trust deficit is that that person knows someone who trusts you more.
Yeah.
So it's social capital that I'm trying to leverage.
Yeah.
Writing in beautiful emails, in mails has not worked. Cold calls have not worked. The calls are not even answered back.
Yeah.
So you're at a dead end. You see?
Yeah. So it's rather the opposite of what I was saying. The way what's working right now is more of a dead end than reaching out for new
No. So the thing is, among all the processes that we've used, I personally have found that your word of mouth is the best way for people even to respond. Because I was trying to get in touch with Zico without the reference earlier, never responded, we're not connected. It was because of now he is connected.
Exactly.
So for me that's a small step.
Yeah.
However, for me it's become a dead end because I'm expecting at the very least to have a conversation, to have a dinner with a gentleman so that we can open up, he can know me better. That's not happening. You understand?
I understand.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the references, because I think it still looks promising. However, in this example, it went wrong.
It's not really gone wrong because the positives I see is all right, we are connected. But then beyond the connection, what?
Yeah.
Because I've written in and said, oh, by the way, this is a reminder.
Yeah.
I had requested if we could spend some time over the weekend and we could go for dinner. That'll be fantastic. No response.
Exactly.
I can't be writing every day. So again, I have to wait for 3 weeks. Again, say, hey, do you have time to think about it? Or this is a long weekend. Can we do it now?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So, I'm curious, how often have you tried to reach out like that?
So there is a method to the madness, even if you do this. You
Yeah.
can't be doing it every day because the moment you do that, people are going to block you.
Yeah.
So you make a mental map or you put this on a piece of paper or Excel sheet and then you decide, okay, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and this works like a cyclical thing till such time you have something. right?
And just for my impression, how many times a week are we talking about?
No. It cannot be. No. If you've written into someone giving reference of an article, which is then mapped to a possible challenge that they may have, and you're constructing a story around it and saying, "Hey, by the way, my team has done something similar. We could also help you."
Yeah.
That's done and gone till you get a response. Obviously, none comes. So
My
you,
apologies.
yeah, that's fine. So you wait 7 days, 10 days, and again, the cycle starts.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. So the thing is, you have to have a mental map, and that's the process I follow. Try to read up whatever information is available about a target prospect online. Read up about it. Try to construct a new story. So that's the content. That's raw content that you're writing in, day out. Virtually every week, every 10 days, you're constructing something new because you don't want a break in that thread,
Yeah.
right? And you hope against hope that someone wakes up, has an epiphany, and says, "Oh, by the way, now today I want to talk to you." It has happened, but it's taken a whole lot longer. So my what I'm trying to get through this engagement is, can I do it better?
Yeah.
Because I seem to have tried each and every method that there is to do this.
Yeah.
It doesn't work fast enough for me.
I see. So how long would you consider, because as you described the process, like the roadmap of one particular client following up and trying to connect, trying to not necessarily connect on LinkedIn, but really connect as individuals. How long does this process take usually?
So again, it's not a logical mathematical model.
Yeah.
But I can give you some examples. For example, track a client.
You guys should be wrapping up right
Okay.
at
Okay.
that time.
So
If you could make sure to
yes.
do the front side and hand it to him.
okay,
Henrico, you're going to do the back side self-assessment, and then you're going to scan both for me.
Okay.
okay. So there's a client which is America's second largest quick service restaurant, and their claim to fame is they're open 24/7. All right. And I know the technology stack on which they were working is something where I have expertise, I have a practice. And I was doing exactly what I've been doing earlier, which is using a personal reference, writing the stories, etc., etc. I'd done that for 1.5 years, and one fine day, again gave a cold call. And the gentleman picks up, and apparently now he's had a dream or something overnight and says, "Oh, I was just thinking of you. I have a problem with my POS system. It's on Foxpro. Can you convert it into something which is more contemporary?" And I asked the question. I said, "Fantastic. I was ready for this. So what do you have in mind?" So he was talking of frameworks like Ruby.js, Angular, etc. So I said, "Oh, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think?" I gave my own opinion.
Yeah.
I said maybe we should dive into a call with my solution architects, but much better position, and then we can take it from there. So here's the same process that I'm trying to do now.
Yeah.
That worked. I would consider myself as lucky that I was following up with this gentleman. I didn't give up.
Yeah.
When I called him, he was hot. He was ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, he said, "This is my problem. What do you propose?" I understand enough about tech to keep him engaged, and said, "Maybe you can consider this, or we could have an extended discussion. We could be more specific." Got the team on board, and we didn't look back. So we rolled it out. We're good to go.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to tell you is the same process I'm going to follow with everyone else. Right? This is what I'm going to do to acquire new logos. But I don't know, I'm wrong. Maybe I'm impatient.
Yeah.
The results that I'm expecting to come in sooner don't really come in sooner.
Yeah. I see what you mean. And in terms of the process you're following, how many companies at the same time are you targeting like that?
Insurance, for example, is my own curated list of more than 100 companies.
But sorry, I don't.
Curated list. So this is my target list. So I've done my research on the
Yeah.
technology stack. I know this is a stack.
Yeah.
I have the practice. I'm mapping it to my practice. I know these are skills.
Yeah.
This is what they have. They might have a problem, or they're looking for help. I don't know, one of two. I don't know what the specifics are. Right? I'm reaching out. Then I'm looking at Google. I'm doing my own research every day to know what's out there. Has something changed? Have they gone to a new tech?
Yeah.
Are they looking for help? putting all these three things together, I'm able to reach out to them
Yeah,
and then solicit, well, can I have some time? Can I be of help?
exactly.
Doing what I've been doing.
Yeah. So that hasn't really been paying off, and it's not fast enough.
Fast enough.
That's all gonna be. That's the issue there. So in terms of this conversation, considering the time, it's unfortunate that we cannot have any longer discussion. But I would love to have another discussion about it. That would be very interesting. And like, I'm sorry I couldn't be of more help today.
Which is fine. So this is not a solution that you probably can think, on your feet. But I appreciate your questions, and I hope we can meet again and do this
Yeah,
with more clarity.
for sure. I got your card. I'll be sure to add you on LinkedIn, and
We'll love that. We'll love
all
that.
right. Well,
So
thank you so much.
I have to fill this up and give it to you now.